And just a couple of reminders also for next week. Always following up with people with the money. So I haven't got a response back yet from the Arthur Murdoch Foundation about hosting us for a planning retreat. I did find the right person to ask, sent out 3 inquiries and had 1 conversation with one of the staff. The other thing, as far as the potential land swap for beefing up our acquisition fund with a resident down by San Ignatius. She's on a trip up in British Columbia for the next 2 months, so she can't participate coming in and meeting with council. But she gave me more details about the exact land that she was looking at, so I'll follow up with the folks in regard to that. And then there was one more. But anyway, forget now. Oh, I know. Bing and I are going to go chase some money on Wednesday with the Nature Conservancy. Their leadership team for the country is going to be here touring the Blackfoot, the same field trip that you basically had 2 weeks ago. And so Bing and I will be there, and we'll chase the money again for maybe assisting us with the new visitor center at the Bison Range. So talk about climate change and other issues. So, and push them more for land back. There's no reason why they can't do more than the bird pinkening marsh. There's other land that we can assist and manage in our Aboriginal territory that could come to our ownership. And so that, giving them kudos for that is a good thing to do. They can be a role model for that as a large, environmental organization. There's other Sierra Club, Wildlife Federation, there's other NGOs could follow that lead. And I want to make sure that they toot their horn big time on that one. So go ahead, Martin.
I'll save it for, it's a question mark for Mark, I think. There's just a property right along the Jocko River that I'm like, it's just got a real estate sign on it now. And it's, I don't, maybe we've seen it and I just don't, we passed on it, but it's right there where we, on the, right past the bridge going into Dixon on the right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And not, going into the town of Dixon on, just, and it's got a, I'm not sure, Lambros, I think. And so I know that's land that we wanted, and I just don't know why.
On the right-hand side of the Jocko going into Dixon, just as you cross the bridge.
Right over the bridge.
The agency?
It's that, no, going towards, into town.
Went into town.
Yeah, so the turn for the bridge is right there. It's that parcel, right? I think it's a trailer, or there's a house there that looks like kind of a ranch. Or how's it?
Yeah, I used to have old family members live in that area. Ruth knows that.
Tell him.
Is that one of our relatives on that, Ruth? I don't think so. Okay. Okay, thanks, Martin. Okay, we'll go to our agenda item. Ruth, you're up. Sorry, I didn't mean to put your encyclopedia mind to test right there. Push the mic button, please. Thank you.
Forget to do that. Good morning. Beginning on page 3 of your packet, so I have 2 issues to present. The first is modification 9 to the, there we go, thank you. Modification 9 to the FY22 total allocations. So we're going to bring in increases largely in the compacts, the contracts and grants of just over $34 million. We're going to adjust for tribal earmarks, posting of revenue received in those particular programs for a total increase of 36.1, and then total allocations up to just over 287 million.
Any questions for Ruth on the resolution to approve budget modification 9, the fiscal year 2022? Motion by Martin to approve the resolution, second by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous.
All right, thank you. And on page 6, I realize you're probably wondering, why are we just now doing this for FY 2022? I'm racking my brain trying to remember why. In any case, we are asking for your formal approval of the 2022 funding amounts. And that is really the key one there. These amounts were agreed to actually last year as we were preparing our agreement for the new fiscal year. And then we're adding in an amendment that will allow us to affect activities for IPAs that we may enter into with Flathead Indian Irrigation Project for functions that will be related to the water compact. So doing that will allow us to receive any funds that would be awarded for that in the FY 21 through 25 funding agreement. And once you approve this, then I'll transmit the form for signature by Chairman McDonald, and then it will go to self-governance for their record. And these are the actual amounts by program. As I said, were set a year ago. And it is what we base our budgeting upon.
Looks like a housekeeping item, so pretty straightforward. Any questions for Ruth on this one? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve amendment number 3 to the multi-year funding agreement for fiscal years 2021 through 2025 between the tribes of the United States of America. Motion by Ellie, second by Bing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. Anita? Yes, unanimous. And then we have the resolution to amend to include water compact funding, et cetera, that might be coming in. Any questions on that one? That is new. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution to amend the self-governance funding agreement for fiscal years 2021 through 2025 with the U.S. Department of Interior Indian Affairs. Motion by Martin, or motion by Mike, seconded by Martin. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. Anita?
I'm sorry, Tom, what was that?
We voted to approve the amend the agreement we just did for.
I voted yes.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous. Thank you, Ruthie.
Great, thank you.
Amendments. Question, go ahead, Mike. One question.
I just want to let you know that I included your email for the Progress Act. Staff's going to be welcome at those meetings, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was glad you passed that back because I was sort of wondering, that was one of the things if we were going to be allowed to at least observe. And so I'll be planning to sit in on that. All right, thank you. Have a great day.
You too, Ruthie. Okay, we got Mark, Tara, come on up. Good morning. Ready for the heat wave?
Yep. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Council. Today in your packet on page 14, a request is coming in for a business lease modification, and I will go ahead and let Tara take it over.
Okay, this will start on page 15, actually. This will be business modification for the Flathead Raft Company. As you guys know, Tammy did sell the Flathead Raft Company to Janelle Calawat and Nick Burns. They did provide us a buy-sell agreement, which did sell actually the Flathead Raft Company LLC. So what we're wanting to do is do a modification to the business lease and changing representatives from Tammy to Janelle Calawat and Nick Burns. So what we're requesting is just to approve the change signature authority with all the terms remaining the same. The lease does expire May 24th of 2024.
Any questions from council? Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, so the little company or the little raft, what are they called? Paddle boards.
Yep.
That's a part of the raft company?
No, that's separate.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you told me they were together.
No.
And I'm like,
they're
and how
separate.
did they get permission to go across that with their business, across that tribal park?
So,
That's just for
yeah,
tribal members only, but now I understand.
yes, and that will be coming up actually, next. So, yeah, but that is a separate from the Flathead Raft Company.
Any questions for Tara on the transfer of this existing lease to the new owners for the term of the lease, remaining term of the lease under the same provisions? Go ahead, Carol.
Is he 51% the tribal member?
Yes,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we authorize the permit.
Motion by Carol to approve the transfer of the lease to the new owners, second by Jimmy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Martin? Okay. 9-4, one out of the room. Martin's, or Lynn, are you voting on that one, Lynn?
Good.
You're for it?
I'm for it.
Okay, unanimous, sorry.
thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Len brought up a request, I think it was Len, about the insurance for the, oh, Martin, go ahead.
I don't know where it's coming from. Well, it's actually supposed to be staff at the racetrack saying that they don't have insurance. They didn't, and I don't know. I just wanted to follow up. I think
Yes.
Rick was supposed to follow, or Clayton would have been following up with you.
Yep, Rick did contact us and yes, they have insurance. The correct insurance. Yep,
I know we approved that, and I think that part of the misunderstanding is that we didn't approve it again this year, or not, there was like, what, 2-year contract, 2 years?
this is a 5-year
Or 5,
business
I'm sorry,
lease.
yeah.
Yep,
So I don't know why staff, but maybe make sure that that guy knows to tell all his staff he has insurance and that everything's kosher.
right. And we usually have to, I do follow-ups. I keep in contact with the insurance company when it's set to expire. I usually check up 6 months even in advance, just to make sure that a lot of our business lessees, they're still, and they'll usually even inform me, say if they are missing a payment or going into cancellation. So yeah, I'm pretty on top of it with the insurance companies, and they are up to par on their end.
Go ahead, Carol.
I got a complaint that there was people camping out there. And I don't know if that's allowed, but I said I would bring it up. So it was a guy at Tribal Health that deals with the racetrack a lot, but he said there was big motor home and
Oh,
camping.
they have that in actually the pit part of the side of it. And that's because they bring in their cars and they don't want to leave and exit because it kind of creates more of damage to that road. So we do allow them, as long as it's not, say if there's campfires that are not allowed, things like that, we make sure they stay within that provision, but they are allowed in that pit area.
We did have, Carol, discussions about the big events where they brought in campers. There would be more that would use the expanded area, and if that's right or not, because other people come in there and have a rec fee and camping permit stuff.
Yep.
So we had that discussion earlier. I have one question back to the raft company. So coming up with the next item. So Tammy, it has another revocable lease or land lease from you?
Yep, she actually has a
Super.
separate one. Yep, so now that one's actually now being turned over to the new represents, but now she does a shackalack.
Right, that's separate.
Yep,
Okay.
and that is completely separate from the raft company.
Okay, and
Yeah.
can you share with me what would it be similar to the amount of the raft company?
It's a little bit less than the raft company. Her rental is, I believe, $250 a month. And that's because it's a seasonal business. It's not really open year round. So, but she does keep up with her insurance, her payments, everything like that. She just has that small little area just for her shackalack. Now she wants to, and this will probably whisper coming into request, that she utilizes that down below for access, just because it is tribal member access only. So is there, I believe Whisper, I don't know if Whisper's on yet or not, but,
I just seen her walk in. so.
Okay,
but she'll be bringing that for that request.
okay.
But
So,
as far as the business lease side, she does only have that portion up top.
so based on your information that you have for her insurance for the lease for the shack, is that adequate coverage to talk about renting kayaks and?
Yes, because it has to be up at $1 million, and then any bodily injury, things like that go with that, yes.
So before, I think in council consideration, allowing the privilege for them to walk through a tribal member only site to launch their boats, there wasn't a rec fee assessed because they were already paying for a lease for that land. So they were paying money for use of the land that they were using. But it was based on the comprehensive fee for the raft company.
Yeah, and keep in mind that that rental fee is really just specifically for the rental shack, not necessarily the rec permits or anything like that. So it's just specifically for the business is that rental fee.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Mark.
I do have a separate one thing I wanted to bring up. It was the Pablo West property that I emailed out to you, Clayton, and council yesterday on the 20 acres.
I mentioned that a little while ago, yeah.
We had brought it in once before, and council actually had lands reach out to SCAHA and SKC if they would be interested in partnering with us in that venture for additional housing in the Pablo area for affordable housing or for even college dormitories type housing or off-campus housing. The individual owner of that property right now, it is in fee status. He wants to know if the tribes are still interested in it, and if so, is there a way to get a earnest money put down on it so he doesn't, because he's thinking about putting it on the open market, because it's been a little while now since we have offered it. We showed interest, so he's wanting to know if the tribes would be interested in doing it. Our acquisition budget at lands right now is depleted, so we would have to reach out to Rick or Greg to find out any kind of funding for it to move forward.
Did the other two entities offer up any money that would be used for like the earnest money?
They didn't offer up any money at that time when we were talking, because I know SCAHA was working on their block grants and other infrastructure costs to do more development. The one thing is that it is already approved through Pablo Water and Sewer for the 40 whatever units or whatever he had already subplotted out. And that has already been through the planning board. It just has never been surveyed. Those have been already approved from the water and sewer usage for Pablo's Water Sewer District. But they both showed interest in working with us, trying to get the property to do the infrastructure and everything else. They did not say anything about if they had the financing to do earnest money or purchase the property outright.
So putting earnest money down means that we accept what he's asking, that asking price.
Yes.
And so we've done our due diligence. That's in the ballpark range as.
Yes.
Go ahead, Carol.
That's up to council if you guys want it on.
We're not an executive.
We're not an executive.
First of all, that property where the well was put in, that's right down from Webster's, they've got 4 or 5 trailer hookups. Little, I don't know if they're little, they're pretty close together. Tom, remember where they were putting in that well? And they got trailer hookups. So I'm thinking that they would be an ideal location for housing for Pablo. And I think we should really look at it if it's hooked up to the water system. What I was gonna say is October 1, would you have money available at that time?
October 1, we should have the financing in our acquisition budget to purchase property outright.
And so
He
that's-
just wants the earnest money.
That's not too far down the road. If we could figure out the earnest money, and if the council was interested, would that be a way to handle it, is just give him the earnest money, and then October 1, we could authorize the funds for it through your budget, if that's what we want to spend it on.
So, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Anita.
Quick question. So, you were talking about kind of a joint venture with the housing authority and the college. What could they contribute to this before we do up the buy sell? I mean, if one of them could come up with the earnest money and the rest could come in the fall. I don't know what their commitment is what I'm asking, Mark. Have they really said?
Well, I know, and we originally talked with them, their investment on it would have been the infrastructure and stuff, but they, like I said, they didn't have the financing at the time when Jody was working on her grants for the block grants. They may have the money to where they could provide that earnest money up front. But we haven't reached back out to them. We just found out on, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, about the earnest money. So that's why we tried to bring it in today, because he was looking at having, getting it finalized or anything by today, otherwise he was putting it on the open market next week. That's why I got it in today, but I can reach back out to the college and to the owner and SCAHA on delaying the advertisement out on the open market, to find out how we can go about if one of the other ones, if the block grant can purchase, give us that earnest money or whatnot to move forward until we can get the new acquisition budget in October.
Any more questions or thoughts? Glenn?
I think at this point in time, let's ask Rick just to find the money and get the earnest money and get that property secured, instead of waiting for the college and housing, because they're just going to drag their feet. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's very possible. But the point is that we want to make sure is when we put the earnest money down, we're committing this is at the top of the list come next fiscal year. So I know that it's paramount that we provide housing here in the area. There's a need. Absolutely agree with that. And the attribute of being able to hook up to the community sewer and water system is a nice attribute for this parcel. So, and its location to the proximity of the college and Pablo. So I don't know, Martin, what do you think?
We need, yeah, housing is a huge issue everywhere, but Pablo especially, with all those people moving from Ronan up here because they love it so much.
Uh-huh. Okay. I counted the dogs the other day. And really, they just hang out on the baseball fields over here. Then there was one old guy limping, heading over to the grocery store. And then there was two more over here. It was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed it. Pablo dogs. I used to be a Pablonian. Okay, so consensus of council to proceed with finding our own earnest money? Take action. Okay, I would entertain a motion. Ooh, motion by Ellie to come up with the earnest money to do the Smith acquisition, secure it, and use next year's fiscal funding to, as we collaborate with the college and housing authority to do the complete purchase. Second by Martin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I will get in contact with Mr. Smith and let him know.
Okay, we'll let Greg know too. Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
Had a question about a property down by Dixon. I just put it up on the screen. That's 200. That's the Dixon, the agency turnoff. This property right here has a big for sale sign on it. And I'm just wondering if that, and I was gonna ask Lynn the same thing, about acquisition, because that's, that's not the Flathead River, that's the Jocko River. And it's, I guess I don't know, is there land in between that and the Jocko that didn't meet the requirements for BP or Yeah, I think it was BPA, right?
We exhausted all our ARCO funds to buy land, and so we've used BPA funding primarily for the Jocko now, as far as riverfront habitat. They're bringing in a Jocko piece this morning, so we could definitely ask Lynn at that point in time. But do you know anything about this parcel, Mark?
I actually just seen it this weekend also, or last weekend was the for sale sign on it because it's never been offered to the tribes or anything. It is a fee status property. I don't know how many acres or anything, but we can definitely take a look at it some more because it does, the river runs right by it like it does. So, and it would tie in with the east side of 212 where we do have ARCO funds that had bought some of that property up. So
The limitation of this one as far as restoration of any work here is the dynamics of the bridge, the highway bridge and the railroad bridge. So there's very little restoration work we could do on this small section of 100 yards of the Jocko. Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Mark, does that property there belong to Patty Pretty?
I don't know, I have not did any research or anything on it, but I can definitely find out and get back with you guys on it.
Because she wanted to sell the whole bunch, you know, before to the tribe across the highway up and behind her place up there and that parcel along the highway there too before, but she was asking quite a bit of money at that time for it. So that's why we didn't do it the last time around. So I was just wondering if that was part of her place too.
It maybe I'll have to take a look at it.
Go ahead, Nita.
I was just gonna say, Bing is right. It was offered before. It's that triangle and then they had some land up above, but they were asking in the millions. So it was way out of our reach at that time, like Bing said, but
Yeah, thank you. I just saw you on the agenda and that I saw that sign, I think last week or sometime, but I was gonna ask Lynn the same thing, so thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Tara, thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
go ahead. Wait, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark, I'm just wondering if you've got any intel on the properties down near Perma, the one where the road was being put in. They've done a lot of work at the bottom of that road with their cats and excavator flattening that out. And then a property next door, there's a building going up and behind it, there's some huge cuts that have been made into the whole hillside. I'm wondering if anybody's got any intel on what's going on down there.
We don't have any further intel on that area. We do know that when I went through that area over the last 2 weekends, and I did notice that same thing is where they did the leveling out at the bottom and the basin where he had already cut that road in. We don't know what is actually going on. He's not using the tribal road anymore. The MVP engineers and that were down there looking at it, and Holly did reach out to MVP on that and questioned them earlier this week about easements, that they don't have a power line agreement with us, MVP doesn't, and the individual did not get approved for any easements through the tribes. So they were just staking it out and everything, but they were not moving forward with any kind of install. That's what we know about the MVP part. The property to the east is fee land, and I haven't heard anything about that one, but I can reach out to Zainin. He's more familiar with that area and he's been kind of monitoring a lot of that section. So I can reach out with him and get some more and get an email or an update at the end of the day today.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Okay, Whisper and Tammy. You brought Tammy with you. We were just talking about you, Tammy.
We heard it.
They were burning.
We are here today on page 16 of your packet to talk about Tammy's proposal to continue use from her previous permit that we had for the Flathead Raft Company to use the tribal park below the raft company and the tribal parcel to allow her patrons of the kayak rentals to walk across the park to launch their boats into the lake. Previously, that had been approved. We are looking at continuing that. Page 17 is the proposal. Thank you for who's ever running that. To the end of 2025, which was her previous permit extent under Flathead Raft Company. And see if council would entertain us to go into a permit with her for that.
Thank you, Whisper. Tammy, the question I had was insurance, whether you're, and now you've separated out, you're continuing the insurance necessary to indemnify the tribes and provide adequate coverage for us as the landowner with your patrons walking on the property and
Yes,
any related associations from a boat failing and them drowning in the lake or something of that nature.
yes, we continue to have the insurance because we have to have the insurance with the lease that we currently are working on with Division of Lands.
The pathway that you had before was down the road on the west side, is that correct?
So there's two little cutouts in the fence and we would go through the cutout in the fence. There's little walkways through the fence. So this one there, we're closer to the cutout that is on the east side of the property.
Okay, okay. I do know in the past that I didn't, at least in my previous position, receive any complaints about your customers doing that, in fact, accessing the lake. So at least as far as that particular issue, it is one of the things when we created that portion of the Superwind food lot, as I refer to it, we wanted to make sure that we had a use for that property and we wanted to make sure that when the other parks are full, we had a place where our membership could go and be able to access the lake, access our lake. And so the interesting thing with this parcel is that your customers would be parking up on your lease,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And they wouldn't be granted access to park down below like the membership is.
Right, but
So,
we just
and-
drag the kayaks down for them and if there are people down there that are using the park, we veer away from wherever they are.
Yeah, you're right there to help manage the people. You can
Yes,
see it, you can see the whole thing, so,
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Any other questions? Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I want to vouch for, I kind of watch this property just to see what goes on down there. And I've
Mhm.
seen your people going across it and they just get right in their boats and take off basically. So I didn't see a problem with it. I'm just glad you're in here now taking care of that because I wasn't sure there was a permit. So
okay. thank
good.
you. Yeah, we've been doing it for 17 years, using the property. When we first started using it, it wasn't a tribal member use only park. But then I did come in with Lester and was granted easement through the property just to access the water. We try to be good neighbors and definitely pick up the garbage down there when we're there. And people from the park down there have used our restrooms at the raft company for a long time. And, you know, it's a benefit to our company. It basically, people are driving by, want to get on the lake, have an hour or two they may spend down there on the water.
Will your customers have access to the porta potties? Are you still participating with the porta potties or?
We are still participating with the raft company on the porta potties, yes.
Okay. Any other questions for council? Carol?
Should we have our own porta potties down there though? Maybe you can let us know if that relationship ends.
And there used to be porta potties down there, but there hasn't been for quite a few years. But people do hike up and use the bathrooms at the raft company just because there is nothing down there.
Okay, any other questions? Council direction? Motion by Carol to approve the request to launch your customers through the tribal park. Second by Ellie. Any other further discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous?
Thank you very much. And then while I have you here, I just wanted to clarify the sale of my company. I wasn't intending on selling the company as quick as I did, but for the last 7 years, I've been in a zoning battle with Lake County. So this spring, they sent me papers for an injunction. So I couldn't use my warehouse out on 35 anymore. So that's why I sold it.
Yeah, Tammy invested in a parcel that she thought she could have her building out, almost out by, that's closer to Turtle Lake Turnoff than it is Polson.
So,
And then it turned out that the neighbors put up a stink and raised the zoning issues that wasn't an appropriate use of her property.
right, and we rented a property a quarter of a mile in the same, down towards town in the same zoning district as the property we purchased. So for 14 years, I rented a property, a warehouse, just like I have. And as soon as I started to put a warehouse on that property, Lake County Planning got involved, and it's been a nightmare.
Yeah, well, those zoning districts, it's a neighborhood watch. Yeah.
Right, and I did talk to legal last year at this time, and they sent me to a lawyer in Polson to help me get through it, but I really would like to find a lawyer that is versed in tribal law, because I really believe they are violating my civil rights. Just because there's a business on one side of me, there's new businesses coming in down on Highway 35, and it's not right. We went through the process of getting a zoning variance through the county. I paid an $800 fee, did everything they asked me to do, and they told me that they wouldn't work with me until I moved off the property to go forward. So I did my best, and they haven't.
Yeah, sorry about that. I always encourage people to try to move their land into trust and
Well,
eliminate
and
some of
that's
those
another thing, I have it it's stuck in BIA, and the county thinks that they blocked me, but actually it's just in limbo in the BIA, where if I would have been able to put it into trust, I probably would have been able to continue doing what I'm doing. But it's just held up there.
issues. Okay. Sorry about that, Tammy. Thank you for the input and information on that. In the
You're welcome,
background.
and thank you guys for all of the support with the RAP company for
You
the
bet.
last 17 years. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciated all the free trips you offered for a lot of our programs and that partnership that you did.
Thank you.
I would hope that Mr. Kilowatt and Burns would follow through with that also.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
I
They're,
think so.
yeah, I think they're in good hands, and once again, thank you.
Thank you. I will take a quick break for
Okay.
5.2 seconds. Again, I'm sticking to it this time. Yeah, you're done. No, 5 minutes and 2 seconds.
And I have one more thing on my agenda.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I was like, oh, maybe they just need a really quick break. Somebody has to use the restroom.
Oh, well, I lost them.
It's super quick. It's just a letter. I can explain it, and I guess we need everybody. I can wait.
We'll be back in 5 minutes. All righty, we're coming back into session. Sorry about that whisper.
That's okay. I'm on page 24 and 25. And hopefully my map made it in, but it doesn't have a number on it. And I don't have a thing to share. I'm here to ask for permission or for your signature on a letter of support for Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks for the Upper Thompson Conservation easements. If you go up one more, yay, great. Previously, council signed a letter of support for phase 1. Their conservation easements that they have in the Upper Thompson, all to the west of the reservation. They benefit all wildlife in these areas. Phase 1 was being able to get into those financially, and now they're on to phase 2 financially. And so they're asking for a letter of support for the light pink down toward the bottom where it says Thompson Fisher FY03. And I will entertain any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions for council? This is kind of similar to the Lost Trail scenario. So certainly protects our assets or helps with our subsistence uses as far as habitat. Motion by Bing to approve the letter, second by Martin. Any further discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. 9-4 went out of the room.
Thank you.
Thank you, Whisper. Okay, Lynn and Brian, Les.
Good morning. My presentation starts on page 28 of your packets. And I guess I can just get started. I have paper copies, so hopefully I can follow along where you are. So we're going to give this property an alias, the Saddle Mountain property. That's something that we have to do with Bonneville Power Funds. So we'll just carry it consistent for this presentation due to some wanting to maintain some privacy issues here. But there's a 40-acre parcel in the Jocko that literally we.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Martin.
Should we go into executive?
We can. You want an executive session?
Sure.
Okay, we'll move into executive.